These are my kids' beanbags, and this is their collection of soft toys. I know, total genius, right? But now I have millions of these polystyrene beads that I have to try and keep out of landfill.
Yes, my name is Iggle.
I'm going to make a beanbag. I'll aim to pattern a sphere with 5 side panels and a pentagonal top and bottom. I'll include a zipper for turning out and washing and a carry loop. For materials, I raided the charity shop and got this pile of trousers. I kind of went a bit overboard. How much did I spend? £5, £4, £9. Ooh, geez, 16, 22. So I spent 27 quid. We've got these cotton chinos. I'm one of those people that really just loves a heavy gauge corduroy to the touch. It's such a nice feeling object, so I'm gonna make a big deal of this. I got this slightly tighter corduroy. This was the most expensive pair of trousers of the bunch. These two came from Marks and Spencer's. If you're not from the UK, you won't know, but it's like where your granny goes and does her shopping. But honestly, they produce garments at a slightly higher quality than most high street stores. And then lastly, I've got these aubergine denim made by Skinny Carrot, made in Turkey. So these are actually pretty decent. They'll never fit me. Oh, they're from Topman. Oh, wow.
Top shop. Yeah, that's great.
These have probably got some value to them. If you're into the Libertines, that's where you got all your clothes. So that'll make the shell of the beanbag.
But first, we're going to need a pattern, and this is really simple, but involves a bit of maths. I want the finished thing to be about 50 centimeters all round, so calculate that circumference and divide it by 5. This gives me the width of a panel. I decide to use the 50 centimeters for the height and aim for a diameter of about 25 centimeters for the top and bottom, giving me these measurements. To draft the pattern, I fold a sheet of paper into quarters and measure a rectangle 250mm by 155mm. I then mark a point at 80mm on the top edge and freehand a curve that flattens out at the widest point. I add my standard seam allowance and cut it out. Once unfolded, I have the pattern. I then cut 5 panels from the trousers, aiming to make features of the side seams and pockets. These were joined with a straight and zigzag stitch, and I'm pretty happy with the result. I clean up the overhanging edges where the panels meet, and using the materials bag as a tailor's ham, start figuring out the bottom panel. I marked the maximum length of the zip I could comfortably fit, and cut a strip of fabric the zip's width, chop it into 2, and sew it into position. The raw edge is lined up where the zip will end, flipped back, and top stitched into place. I open up the zip so that the slider is in the part of the zip I'm going to keep, and repeat on the other end. This gives me the basic zip assembly, and I chop off the excess zip track. I can now cut the side panels to add to the zip, and the goal here is to go much larger than I actually need, and cut down later. I now edge stitch a panel onto the zip right sides together, raw edges lined up. Add a zigzag, flip and top stitch, then repeat on the other side. For the top panel, I want to make a feature of the patchwork and join 3 scraps with the same process of straight stitch and zigzag to join and flipping back with a top stitch. Lastly, I want to add a carry loop and cut a strip of purple, fold it over and cut one end at right angles for a reference point. I join down the raw edge, flip out and press. This isn't square, but I'm really enjoying the quick off-the-hip approach for this project. I add parallel lines of top stitching using the presser foot as a guide and seal the ends with a zigzag. I'm now ready for final construction. Look, Agnes, it's a new short from the Unpicker.
Welcome to OIC. Today we have an extraordinary offering from the Unpicker that combines the charm of DIY publication with the latest in the world of fashion and creativity. Introducing the 1000 sub commemorative edition, a 16-page A5 zine that's a must-have for anyone with a passion for sewing and crafting. Let's take a closer look, shall we? Packed full of original artwork, poorly spelled articles, and a Spotify playlist, who needs colour? Oh, I hear we have a caller.
This your big plan then, is it? Gonna earn your pennies in print media?
I don't know what you mean.
No chance, mate. You're delusional.
Get your copy now at ko-fi.com/unpicker. The digital version is only £2.
I trimmed the top and bottom to a rough shape with an excessive seam allowance, and figured the best way to pin the panels together was lying the shell wrong side out on the beans, laying the bottom panel underneath and manipulating the panels into place with a slight tuck at the corners. These were the trickiest joins, but I just went slow and pulled on the excess on the bottom panel to avoid any folds in the join. The final excess was trimmed off, a zigzag was added to secure, and more top stitching was added. The only difference for the top was adding the loop pointing inwards, and after trimming and adding the zigzag, I had to turn the bag out through the zip and top stitch awkwardly with the majority of the bag over the base plate. And this is the finished item. And I have a really simple but effective little beanbag. I love all the little details. The flap is maybe too wide, but it adds a splash of that contrasting purple to the brown. The zip is great but a little small, meaning that stuffing the thing was a bit of a pain. I added a bar tack to hide where I started and finished the top stitching, and I'm really happy with how it looks. And why shouldn't a beanbag have pockets? This was a super simple project and only took maybe 4 hours all in.
If you're thinking about doing this yourself, I'm pretty sure, I'm going to put this down because it's probably rustling on the mic, isn't it? You could probably get away with using like 3 pairs of trousers. I was fairly wasteful in my process, but I still have a lot of scrap left over, so I think 3 is enough for a 50cm beanbag like this one. Although it was nice having the 4 colours to choose from. In terms of changing its size, maybe using more materials, using different materials, like this is a very flexible project. The only limiting factor is what have you got to stuff it with? And I had just enough beans to get this sort of size. Do I have any other business? Right. The Forever jeans have had their first patch since their big reconstruction. I don't know if this is out yet. As of recording, there's 3 more subs to go. Once I know it's out in the world, I will talk about it properly. What's next? Doing some pattern cloning, and I think I might have made a unique video on YouTube, a very rare thing, especially within the sewing community. So after that, so I've got a nice big juicy project. Something that's been in the back of my head for a really long time that I've been working on. Don't want to talk about it too much. I've barely scratched the surface on it, but I'm very excited to share that with you when it's ready. Shall we keep this one short today? I think so. Thank you so much for watching. It's hugely appreciated. Like,